page.
Ad tech, ad talk, it's a live Q&A. Buy side, sell side, clearing the way. CEO spitting truth, no delay. Chalice and Gamera owning the day. Adam drops gems, he's breaking it down. How the buy side spins, dollars around. Garrett steps up with that data finesse. Selling it right, no room for a guess. The mics are hot, the beats hit hard. Fans throw their hands high in the yard. Deals and impressions like a verbal sprint. Break.
When buy side beats sell side, it's less dangerous. Here's Adam and Gareth now to entertain us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ad Tech Ad Talk. We are so happy to welcome you here. I'm one of your hosts, Gareth. I'm joined by Adam, and today we are going to shout at all of you very nicely about sell-side decisioning and a few other fun things that have come up.
We exhort you to wise up.
I mean, people seem confused. Right, Adam. That's why I brought it up, is because I think that it is confusing. It has been described as this like really foundationally changing thing, and I think that image gets me every time. And I think that I think we can unravel it. Like I think that we really can. I think that we can put it into terms that make sense in old ad tech, because it's an extension of old ad tech. Like we're not doing necessarily new things. We're just doing them in new places, and that does lead to some new results.
All right, let's start at the beginning. Let's make sure everyone can follow us, not just the experts and gearheads who comprise the core of our loyal audience, but people just dropping in, learning about ad tech for the first time. Let's start at the beginning. What does it mean to be the sell side, and what does it mean to decide on the sell side?
I like that. All right, I'll do sell side since I'm the sell side guy. So the sell side refers historically to the side of the industry that is representing ad space on publisher websites to be sold in an auction.
Can we just say publishers? Let's just say publishers, websites.
And that's the core of the sell side.
And their tech partners.
And their tech partners. I think that's the key, is the sell side does typically refer to the tech partners who are auctioning the inventory that they get from publishers.
Right. Sell side ad tech is auction technology and monetization technology, helping publishers make money by getting the highest CPM, highest price they can for every ad slot. That's
what they say.
Sell side ad tech, right? That's what I was told. All right. So and usually you would think the sell side sends up opportunities, they host auctions, and the buy side just makes the decision, right? What to bid? Do I want to bid at all? So that would be buy side decisioning. But what, pray tell, is sell side decisioning?
Well, actually, can we double? Oh, I hate it when people say this. I'm going to do it though.
You're going to double click?
I want to double click on decisioning.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did it. Decisioning. What is decisioning? Like, what is that? It's because it's actually kind of complicated.
English language.
It is.
Yeah.
But Adam, you're the buy side guy. What's decisioning in 2015? How about that? Let's do it this way. What was it back then when you were running campaigns? What was your decisioning process?
I mean, it's whether to buy or not, right? It's whether to bid. Right. So decisioning, the core of decisioning is you put your parameters in the buy side tech, and those parameters decide the buy or not buy decision. Like I want opportunities in the United States. I don't want opportunities in Canada.
Yeah. And it's also what to bid, right? Or is that even a thing? Like,
yeah, that's a separate decision. Yes, that's a deeper level of decisioning. The big one is bid or no bid, but then what to bid. And that's where things get complicated, because there's too many opportunities for a human being to decide what to bid in every case. So what they usually set is a max bid. And then there's a decisioning algorithm that's deciding what to actually bid. I
got into it because I had a post the other day that was talking about precisely what you just said. Like, human beings in a truly optimized world can't decide what to bid because there's a trillion requests. So there's no way a person could process what to bid on that. However, historically, in advertising, haven't we kind of just painted with a broad brush and been like, all right, $10. That's
Of course. Unit cost. We decide on a unit cost. That's the way it was done historically, right? Before algorithms, there was just
and this is awesome. People don't talk about how awesome this is. This like works so well, and this is like the power of digital advertising, right? Is that we can really granularly decide eyeball by eyeball what we're willing to pay. And like
yeah.
I think that gets lost that this is
Yeah.
a really cool thing and it's really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if there are people here who are new to ad tech, they should, we should stop. And the way I would express this is not only is it amazing for the buy side, and I'll represent you, it's amazing for the sell side too, because what Google proved is that a publisher will make way more money through this method. Because what ends up happening is that every single ad opportunity goes to whoever wants it most, who is willing to pay the most. And by disaggregating all the ad opportunities into billions or trillions of different transactions, you get, Google, a publisher that makes $1 trillion.
Ah, this is still controversial in publisher land, by the way. Publishers are still like kind of like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
kind of like liked it when I just got a number. Like I'm serious. It's a thing.
Yeah.
There's still skepticism about this. There is still skepticism that this has devalued publisher inventory in like
Well,
some horrifying way.
we have to consider that the publisher who figured out how to do it and make the most money in Google became the sell side ad tech company for every other publisher and was convicted of crimes, according to that. So publishers, they have a legitimate beef there that this hasn't worked out for them. But I don't think you could overlook the fact that their competitor was controlling their auctions.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater a little bit, where people become skeptical of biddability, when in reality, biddability has just been brought to us by a monopolist.
Yeah,
And the problem's not the bidding, the problem was the monopolist.
yeah,
And
it's
like,
pretty clear.
yeah, I mean this is a so we're
It's the baby
there.
bathwater thing.
Yeah, it really is. And like
Yeah,
that's and don't get me wrong, like we are still vitally dependent on said monopolist. AdWords is still 20 to 40% of most publishers' revenue. Think about that
yeah,
one. That's crazy. So that they're nervous, right? Like this is a nervous time for them. But let's talk about sell side decisioning. So now we've established decisioning is an amazing tool where buyers get to say, impression by impression, here are the things that I want. And separate from that, if they work with Chalice, Chalice does a really sophisticated calculation of, oh, okay, here is what you should actually pay for this bundle that you've come in, that you've decided that you do indeed want.
yeah. Not bundle, each one.
Yeah, a bundle of information, the single
Oh, yeah,
impression, like set of attributes.
got it.
So historically, this happened on the buy side, and like I'll just never forget. I always bring it up. This is probably my 10th time to talk about this. Media Math's brain T-shirts. They had brain T-shirts, right? And the Media Math brain was the decision engine, and
All
that's
right.
what you were buying. You were buying the algo, and
Custom.
that's why you worked with Joe was
Yeah.
because he had an algo.
But I would say that wasn't first, right? Networks came first, and networks is really an example of sell side decisioning, right? Network,
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
right? And
I
in an
think it's
ad network,
true.
you give them their money, and they would do that what it's worth to you math,
Yeah.
right? So
Huh.
that's really sell side decisioning, and like the AdSense network and the old AOL and Yahoo networks were examples of sell side decisioning, where they would represent the buy side's interests to at least some extent, and then enough that people trusted them, and decide the bids.
I want to dig into enough that people trusted them because I think there's a lot in there. We have a question. What's our question?
All right, let me bring this up on the screen. It's actually a three-part question. I'm only gonna.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my goodness.
Yeah, this is good. You guys are gonna like this. I'm only showing the first part on the screen, but let me read. I'll read the whole thing. So, something I've wondered. Oh, Michael Bishop, thank you for the questions. something I've wondered for a while: why isn't Chalice a DSP?
Good
Obviously, it would
one.
be yeah, obviously it'd be a lot more work, particularly on the sales side, than just providing custom algorithms. But have you ever thought about swinging for bigger fences? There's probably a much bigger conversation here around the degree to which having better tech, is actually long-term defensible value in ad tech versus just being an instrumental tool to drive sales. Did you get all that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really core to Chalice. So yeah, happy to talk about my company though. We are of course talking about sell side decisioning today, but it's core to Chalice's business strategy that platforms will become unbundled, and that this is a necessary solution to the problem of media fragmentation. So if you build a piece of scaled software, which is what a DSP is, you have to close off certain opportunities, right? And I would say all the platforms, when I say a scaled offering, you actually have to bundle quite a bit. The modeling capability is bundled with a data offering, right? It has to use the same data every time, and there's always proprietary data in the platforms. And it's also bundled with a deployment capability, right? That's what really makes it a DSP, is that the DSP is deploying the bids and becomes the entity for billing. It's my belief this cuts off a lot of possibilities that open up when just the decisioning part, the modeling and decisioning part is modularized, right? And you have flexibility in where you deploy it, and you have flexibility in the data that can be ingested. So especially given that we were built to solve big advertisers who are always going to have a lot of data of their own and are always going to have fragmentation issues of having big budgets and advertising all over. We said there are always going to be platforms and scaled software solutions where these things can be deployed, and our customers will always have data. So let's focus on that middle Lego of the stack, the modeling, be as good and as flexible as that as we can, and we will be able to serve, more enterprise advertisers, publishers, data companies, ad networks, right? We serve all of those because we did not close off capabilities by building a DSP or any other sort of scaled stack solution. Does that make sense?
I think it does. And a word you kept using was flexible.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a whole lot of inflexibility on the buy side because there's a whole bunch of deals that have been done. There's a whole lot of infrastructure that's been deployed and a whole lot of spend that is flowing. And to pick it up and move it is a task with actually meaningful cost, right? Like there is a literally a human cost to making that happen. And people don't want to incur costs to use new
Yeah.
solutions. Like they just don't want to. So
Yeah.
if you can be flexible when they're inflexible and say, listen, you don't have to do that. You don't have to basically pick up the entire circus, load it onto an 18 wheeler and move it to my DSP. It's just like, and I think Michael alluded to it. There's business friction reasons for this, but I think it cannot be underplayed, right? Like, like what it would be to move a lot of agency operations and brand operations out of the DSP that they're in.
Yeah.
Like, it's a crazy undertaking.
Yeah, I mean, a bidder is still a crazy undertaking, though it's gotten cheaper to run. Like, you have to you have to be able to respond to millions of bid requests a second. There's a lot of financial work done in the DSP to serve multiple clients, and none of those things don't have much to do with data science, which is what we wanted to focus on, right? It's really, we really started from the first proposition was, what if the data science was as good as it could possibly be every time? And we engineered it around that. Because what a DSP is really, what if we engineered the best bidding machine we can and then squeezed in whatever data science can fit in there, right?
Yeah,
So,
seriously.
so we flipped that around, and I think it's successful.
I mean, it's crazy. So we were talking about media math earlier, right? When we were going on down our sell side decisioning spiel. It's crazy to me how many DSPs actually are not good at like the data science and the bidding. Like, because I always like had this mental image of DSPs as these mastermind algorithm companies. And I think we've just come to find out that they have to do so much. There are so many other things involved that they're actually not in general.
Yep.
And they're tools that are much closer to deploying human bids than they are like algorithmic masterminds. And that's where, Chalice comes in.
You said it. You said it. Like they, most data sciencey things, they would view as non-scalable. I mean, there's not enough volume in the opportunity, or that they slow the machine down too much because you have to compute something at the moment. And then it's the scaled software mentality is that you should put all the resources behind the thing that's done the most. And that's a really bad deal for a big advertiser because the thing you're trying to do as a big advertiser is not the thing that's done the most. It's the small advertiser thing that's done the most. And that's how you end up with machines that work off clicks and last touch conversions and can't do incremental lift because, only big customers care about incremental lift.
Mhm. I don't even know if DSPs can do last touch conversions out. That's generous. I've set some campaign stuff and it's been a thing. However,
Yeah.
so on this vein of flexibility, I think that this is actually a really good setup for sell side decisioning, and why it is what it is DSPs are not good necessarily at these algorithms. And even if they are, this is something that can be unbundled from their core functionality. You can take the data science part and pop it out and say, okay, we're we're a machine that listens and bids, and we're going to build hooks for companies like Chalice. And we're going to let those companies compete with one another on how good of a job they can do at the data science. And this did become a thing. Like DSPs started to do this, but my understanding is that the hooks that DSPs were able to build were generally like limited. Like you still had to operate inside a schema. Is that fair?
You
And
mean by
that's schema.
hooks?
Where if you wanted to do this inside of DV360, it's not like you get the raw bid request that's coming from the
Oh
exchange.
yeah.
You
Yeah, there's
get
only
like
like
a
five fields.
yeah, you get like a few fields that
Yeah.
you do your data science on.
Yeah, it's very limited. Yeah, you can only put weights on them. You can't control the cost in DV360. And yeah, Trade Desk has a limit of 5 or 10 million rows of bidding instructions, which is not enough if you're a big advertiser. So yeah, there are all these limits.
Yeah. So we had DSPs with this scaled infrastructure, not necessarily so great at bidding, tried to build hooks for data science companies, didn't build sufficient hooks for data science companies, don't care enough to build them. And meanwhile, you had SSPs who, for a solid 5 years, had an entire market yelling at them, you're going to go out of business because you don't add any value. Like, like,
Yeah.
like it's a matter of when, not if, Mr. SSP, that your business evaporates because there's going to be downward pressure and you're a commodity.
Yes.
So,
I'll do quickly why SSPs didn't add any value, right? They originally had two functions, host the final auction and decide what gets served, right? And that got monopolized by Google, so they couldn't do it anymore, which left their other functionality, which was serve bid requests up for RTB bidding, which pretty much got disintermediated by open source technology in prebid.org.
mhm.
That left them with no real value of their own. So they started doing buy side stuff.
Yeah. And they realized, hey, you know what we're really good at? We're really good at taking bid requests and blasting them out to people. So instead of blasting them out to DSPs, what if we built a hook for a company like Chalice, where Chalice gets basically access to the bid stream and can now do Chalice-y things with it. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's sell side decisioning in a nutshell, where it's like, okay, instead of blasting this out to the DSP, first we're going to send it to Chalice. And Chalice can do its thing, append whatever data it wants, append bids, append whatever, and then it's going to go out to the DSP for some sort of decisioning. And maybe that's worth talking about. Like what actually happens like in the life cycle of a request? It comes into index, it goes to Chalice, then what? Like what goes on?
Yeah. Well, we skipped curation. Like in 2020, Xander put out a product called Curate, which was I'd say the first sell-side decisioning product, right? They said, hey, another way for us to make money is instead of set up ad networks ourselves, right, and do decisioning for buyers, we'll let anyone who wants to license Xandr Curate and essentially filter bid requests or cherry pick bid requests. It's a PMP building machine, right? You could put any filter you want on bid requests, and then the DSP decisioning might do nothing or it might do better out of the selection that you've made.
It's targeting. They
Targeting.
literally, it's their DSP UI. They popped their DSP UI over. It's literally the same UI. I'm not joking. It's literally the same UI. It's their DSP targeting UI. They popped it over and said, okay, you can use this.
I think the reason it took off is people were expecting cookies to be deprecated, and they said this is a safer way to do it because the publishers have the right to serve up a cookie. So if it can't be conveyed to the buyer, then we should do it here in Xandr Curate, where it's legal to have this ID, and we can filter our special audience on the sell side. That's really why curation took off. It was anticipation of cookie deprecation, but then people found a bunch of other uses, right? They said, we can filter out all the Spanish pages for Hispanic campaigns and a million other things.
Oh, that's generous, Adam. It's also media buyer at agency A doesn't want to log in and check their campaigns every day.
Yeah.
So I can do that for them. And then their campaigns just look good.
It also became a way, the ugly part of our business, the undisclosed margin, reared its ugly head again. And, we'll probably take another 15 years to stamp it out.
Well, you don't have to outrun the bear in curation, right? You just have to outrun the next best performing campaign for that media buyer in that DSP. And as long as you do that, you can take as much margin as you want.
I still don't get it though. I still don't get it. Like if there are curation for CPA. I really don't understand how curation for CPA works. The Google algorithm is great at CPA. The Trade Desk algorithm is great at CPA. There's no filtering you could do on inventory, like to make it cheaper or worse. It's already really bad.
Oh, so you're giving a lot of credit to those off-the-shelf algorithms. I actually am.
How do you do CPA curation?
So I think that the problem that DSPs run into, and this is conjecture, by the way, like full on, we need to invent a character for when Gareth is like 50% making shit up. But it's fully possible that I'm 50%. Well, 50% possible I'm making this up.
Okay.
But I think it's a thing. I think that if you are a naive CPA buyer and you log into the DSP, your a priori targeting is too wide because you have not been told, hey, if you target everything, you're going to boil the ocean, you're going to target the entire internet, and your CPA is going to be high until it's low. And what curators do is they carry tribal knowledge from CPA campaign to CPA campaign and basically bootstrap the optimization process where they're like,
Google Trade Desk do that. They look at the conversion seed. They look at the conversions in the platform. Yeah, they're good at taking a seed. Yeah.
So if you're an auto advertiser, you've never advertised in the Trade Desk before. You have a CPA campaign.
First of all, that doesn't exist. Like, there's no auto advertiser just showing up in Trade Desk for the first time anymore.
Well, we'll do something else. Okay, we'll go with hard CPA. I'm a supplement advertiser.
All right.
I want to sell someone vitamin D.
Yeah.
And I've never worked in the Trade Desk before. I have a $100,000 budget, which is probably too low for the Trade Desk, but maybe I use a reseller like Choozle or something. I go in there, I set it up, I put in my CPA of $60 because I'm a rebill, right? I'm not selling one bottle. When someone signs up, I know they're going to buy at least this many bottles from me over time because it's subscribe and save it, blah, blah, blah. Are they going to port data over from other supplement companies when I launch that campaign?
No. As soon as you have conversions, they're going to find a company where the converters look like yours. It'll be another supplement company, and they'll start they'll essentially build you in market for supplements off the competitors.
Really? It's so interesting. I didn't know the Trade Desk did this. I thought they siloed it, and I thought you would be like,
I'm not saying Trade Desk or anyone else does it. That's how I would do it. And
yeah, no, they don't, man. They're gonna let you boil the ocean. Your CPA is gonna be through the roof. You're gonna buy every website from every ad
oh,
exchange on the internet.
I could attest that that is not the experience of buying CPA for a new supplement company or something like that in Trade Desk or Google. They learn so fast that you know they're using some data pool.
That's so interesting. Because every like performance marketer I've talked to who's ever tried to run a campaign in a DSP has been like, just the CPAs were miserable.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we got questions
Oh,
flowing
yeah.
in.
Also, they tell you to put a tag on your site before the thing generates conversions. You put a tag on your site, and they start grabbing conversions. So they usually have at least 100, if not 1,000, before you launch. Because you have to put the
Interesting.
tag down first.
So
Yeah,
it's all user based. It's all lookalike modeling.
yeah,
Um,
they're lookalike modeling machines. So it's still a little mysterious. I think there is some of this front running going on. Like you can tailor it a little bit, but the easiest way to improve CPA is to buy cheaper inventory, right? And I don't think,
for the right users.
yeah, I don't know if
Oh,
they. All right. Wow, 3 questions.
let's go.
All right. First question is from Michael Bishop. How much of curation is also downstream of DSPs continue to be bad at bidding, data science, the technical parts of their job?
This was my instinct
Kinda
is
covered
that they
this.
are bad at it. That's why some guy at curating could make things perform better. Like I really think that's the case. I really do. Like
Yeah.
ad ops guy going, I got a list of sites. These convert. We're gonna just tack that on there. I know it works for my other client. It's gonna work for you. I'm not gonna buy from all the exchanges because I know that that's crazy. And like,
That I could see that. There's something to that, is that they're so focused on IDs that they probably don't look enough at inventory. And if it's just that no one has ever taken the approach of saying, hey, what if we limited it to the site where these IDs are most likely to show up? That might give a boost in a lot of categories that are, especially things like that are job sensitive. Like if you're selling things to engineers, there are a set of pages that you should be on because engineers read them and almost no one else does. And I think that the platform algorithms might really suck at that kind of thing because it's not scalable in their world. Like you can't time, but it's very important sometimes. And I think that's possible that they haven't built that sort of thing in, like, inventory sensitivity, right? They haven't built an inventory sensitivity, and just by bringing some to the party, a curator can do better at CPA.
yeah, when I look at the algorithm documentation, it's normally domain. That's what they got.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like
Not good enough.
that's not gonna cut it. Yeah.
Yeah, and even domain might not have that much weight. All right. Great questions, Michael. Thank you.
All right, ready for our next question?
Let's go.
All right. This is from the next two are from Talk to Me, but I think we'll take them separately. The first one, seed data comes from the advertiser. The source is sus in my mind because it's not my data that is being monetized without me getting anything from it. I'm just working through what seed data does.
What seed data does? That's the end of the question.
Yes. Or should I?
It's the
should I read
seed for a
next one?
lookalike. Yeah. Seeds and spines. So basically you score every ID in the universe for how much it looks like the seed. And this used to be done through like pretty simple scoring, like how many of the last 10 sites you were on do you have in common? And now with LLMs, you can do this much more complex non-scoring version where you're saying, let's take everything we know about every user and use a neural net algorithm to essentially match them. How much do they look like? It's like almost like face recognition, right? You could look at every face in the world and find out which ones look most like me or most like Gareth. Like you could do the same thing with seeds if you have a big data spine, as the platforms do, and as Chalice licenses from third parties, so that you can quickly create a prospecting audience that looks like the seed.
Hold up. Did they actually do site recency comparison seeding? Was that a thing? Like
Yeah,
look at the
domain
last domain
domain-
recency?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Why?
Because I've always like had
Shop
this tacit assumption
gives away shopping.
that like data leakage is a unpreventable, which it is, but like the nastiest form of data leakage, which is let me find your audience elsewhere cheaper, Mr. Publisher, is something that most DSPs just didn't take the time to do because they didn't necessarily care that about which users went to which sites. But if they're harvesting that from the bid stream, don't get me wrong, it's a great data set. But that's crazy.
I think it's mostly shop. Yeah, I think for the, the millions of people who shop a lot online, domains tell the story of what they're shopping for.
I certainly do. Oh, and if you
Yeah,
do it page level, it's even better because oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Item
Yeah.
level. Well, Google does it at Google and Amazon have it at purchase level, right? So it's not just what you're shopping, but the things you bought, which often predict the next things you'll buy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, it looks like I cut off talk to me's question. There's a chat limit in YouTube chat, so it got cut off.
Oh.
The second part was from someone whose icon has a big K in it as a hint. Does it create priority on who to bid on or inform how much to bid? That was part of the previous. And guess who I am, Adam.
Oh, that's K. Does what create? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, so I think you answered
does
it when you were
seed-
describing what seeds do. I think it does. It creates priority in bidding, and valuation is a separate process based on my interpretation of what you
A
said
scored
earlier.
lookalike. Yeah, Chalice can create a scored lookalike where you actually score every ID in the spine or every household in America for how much they look like the seed, and then you could use those scores in bids. It was a pretty hard thing to develop outside a platform, but we did it.
Do DSPs do it?
Yes, DSPs almost certainly do it themselves, because that's how they decide. Like if two advertisers want it, it's essentially who you have to figure out who wants it more. So you need them to have separate scores.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
We don't use it for that. We use it for base bid setting. There's a functionality in Trade Desk almost no one uses. It's a great functionality. Great job, Trade Desk, in building base bid user scoring, where you input the user scoring with your audience, and it could set a base bid to the penny along that spectrum of value, so that the more you value the user, the more likely you are to win the auction.
Cool.
All right, ready for the next one?
Let's go.
Okay, this is another one from Michael Bishop regarding identity-based CPA targeting. Overfocus on lookalikes is probably how Mobian was able to show, 6 times performance by contextually targeting to Fox News? Boomers buy supplements.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen the Mobian study, but I do know CPA, and I know that the way to make CPA work is to target Fox, MSN, and Yahoo. And that's all you have to do. You don't need an algorithm. Like
What are you selling there? If you're selling supplements, yeah.
lots of things, Adam. These are the people who click ads and buy things.
Yeah, it's old people who have the money in America.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I have friends. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but I'm at the age where a lot of my friends and wives of my best friends are going through menopause. And what they told me is they will buy any product that's promising to relieve menopause symptoms. They see an ad, they buy it. And if there's a chance it'll help, they're going to buy it. Like it's that the problem is minuscule compared to the amount of disposable income they have. So that's a much different world for when you're trying to sell other goods and services online. Like
I really hope there's a D2C VC listening right now. It's like, oh my God, we had a blind spot. Like,
huge blind spot.
yeah, this is a market. We need to do a D2C company for this yesterday.
Yeah, I was advising someone who wanted to start a D2C business, and I told him the story. He was like, "Shut up, get the fuck out of here."
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, that happens.
Hims, hers, and moms.
I know. Oh yeah, good point. Hims is on it. All right, next question, Dave. This is great.
All right.
We are video promotion.
Talk to me. Thank you. Talk to me, our secret friend Kay. Is it overfocus if the reach is incremental and can narrow down where to spend your money?
Is what overfocus? Yeah, I don't understand. Talk to me. You're gonna have to
Maybe
clarify.
is that from Michael's question about Fox News?
Oh, it came right after it, so it might be continuing
Mhm.
that thought.
Okay.
Hmm.
Marley's giving me a no sign. Let's go on to the next one.
Okay. Um, Let me see. This is from Michael Bishop. I can confirm that the platform algorithms absolutely suck at it currently, and that's the basis of the new Scope 3 Mobian targeting knife fight.
Those companies have been fighting so hard for so long, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I love that it's Brian and Jonah.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome. This is
Yes.
2007 ad tech stuff that's going on again.
King
That
Kong versus
Mobium and
Godzilla.
Skype 3. It really is. It's awesome. Like, we all get to see it again. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. I got to get them both as investors.
I got them both.
Yeah, you got to get them both.
Oh yeah, let's talk about your raise. Let's take this last question. Let's talk
Yeah, I'll
about
take the question.
raising. I'm sure a lot of people want your advice.
From Talk to Me. Platforms need to spend first and foremost. Used to not be the case, and you could legit stop delivery by being too tight on goals. Those were the days.
That's true. Platforms have gotten better at prioritizing pacing, spending your money without completely screwing up performance. Used to be sort of an either or. They've managed that trade-off so that they'll spend first and perform pretty well, if not very well. So it's really another opportunity for third parties, including curators and custom algorithm companies, to improve.
We used to always joke about this, that if like every once in a while we would set up a Facebook campaign and wouldn't deliver. And we would be like, if I were a Facebook PM, I would have like 10 commandments. And commandment number one would be spend the budget. Like make sure it delivers. And after that, figure it out. Um,
The data science implications of that, it would be like focus more on IDs, right? Is reduce reach. Like the best way to do this is to go slow, reach a lot, learn a lot about the audience,
mm,
the market that's out there. Take some time, find something unexpected, some veins that you can mine of the audience. And I think that's what gets lost as these algorithms get quote unquote better. I think, the data scientists on the job are told, improve the score of this classification algorithm by at least a point. Now it's an 85, and if you get it to 90, you get a bonus. So that's what they do. And the advertising implications of that are dire. It's less reach, less learning, probably less incrementality. We really see it with Google, especially.
it's so interesting because I've had similar experiences on Facebook where basically when you spin up a campaign, if you spin it up 5 times, it's wildly different audiences in each of the five. And that's what they're doing. They're going narrow to make sure it delivers. But the downside is sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Um, and there's a future here where big advertisers have a huge advantage if we can actually clean up the data because they have the ability to spend broadly while they're learning and test a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's how Chalice would try to do it. Is like we show them like these are five, profiles that we have scored high, and we're going to deliver to all of them and try different frequencies on them and different ad variations on them, right? That's
Yeah.
that's how you really do advertising. It's really not part of the tech stack.
Yeah. But you need money to do that, right? And you need to be willing
Yeah.
to bite it off
The
and be
hard
like,
part is
hey,
you need service. You need service, right? Like
service.
yeah.
That's a dirty word in startups. I don't know what you're talking about. Our software does everything.
Agents.
Agents. Our agents handle our service. That's 2025's answer to service. Like, oh no, agents.
The agents can't learn advertising if nothing about advertising is documented. It does seem to be the case. Not since Ogilvy wrote his book.
That really does seem to be the case, right? Like,
Much.
it's kind of fascinating.
There's some Australian books. I don't want to talk about them. We don't want the Australian advertising book nerds filling up our. But you can find them on LinkedIn if you want.
That's a
You know about
demographic
the- you
I've
know
never
about
heard of.
Taboola? Have you seen Taboola on LinkedIn dissing OpenRTB?
No, really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna call your attention to it so you can see it. This just
That's
look at
really
my
funny.
comments. I was yeah.
I mean, I can't wait. So Taboola, to be fair, right, is like a mythical creature because they built a performance advertising business on websites just completely outside of the confines of OpenRTB.
Yeah, it's great.
So
I mean,
it's
great business.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I give them Taboola and Outbrain get tremendous credit. They've built amazing businesses.
Yeah.
And they've done something that RTB has failed to do. RTB couldn't make those campaigns work. Um, but I would love to see them coming to RTB and being like, this makes no sense. Why are you doing this?
It's an
I
Australian. What is doing it is Australian, so adjust your accent.
Oh, okay. I just always think of Adams and Gold.
Hi. This makes no sense,
Wait,
my guy.
Taboola has employees in Australia? Why?
Why do you think they're able to make it work? I mean, I just the quality of the ads is a big piece of it, right? It's all like you won't believe what happened next, stubborn belly fat, plantar
Oh no, you
fascia.
can run those in RTB. They don't work in RTB. It's inventory quality. They don't buy from exchanges. They know exactly what they're buying. They work with the publishers themselves every time.
Yeah,
It's that simple.
it's placement level data, right? They have
Yeah.
placement.
Oh, they're kings of it. They have amazing placement level data, amazing contextual data. They have their own contextual algorithms that they've built to classify all the pages. And they've been doing that since 10 years. So yeah, they know what they're doing. Like this is their business.
What are their margins like?
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge. They charge tremendous margins, 25% plus. It's good
Hmm.
business. Um,
Their
and now
margin
the only thing is it's scale limited, by its very
pretty
nature
big.
because
They're
they
over a
have,
billion.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. When I say scale limited, the reason they're coming to RTB is because they can't get their ads on every single website on the internet. That's just by its very nature. Every publisher's not going to run a Taboola widget on every page. It's just not a thing. But they
Yeah.
will generally run a banner on every page. So Taboola was like, how do we get that?
I heard seed tags coming to OpenRTB as well. You know
Uh,
seed tag?
I have heard of CTAG. Um, I'm
Spanish.
s- I always thought they were open RTB, but were they just a network with
Yeah.
widgets too?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. These widget networks, they're all coming to RTB. Upbrain is too. I know that their teams are on it.
Let's
But
talk about that next week. I want to understand this transition.
yeah, oh, that sounds good. We got a question.
All right. Another question from our secret friend Kay. Talk to me. Um, a question to move to my summer Friday. Struggling with the value of retail data with the lack of incrementality. What's the best way to approach this data and the RM ends versus non-retail sets?
I don't really know. It all happened after I left, you know, agency world and being close to buyers. So I don't really know what's faced with retail media. I understand you can't say no to them, but I think the move is to push them to use better technology and to really get them to confront the real problems of a CPG company that's trying to get incremental sales. Because I think, like they were all just told by McKinsey, you have to monetize your data. The way to do it is to set up a retail media network, and they paid $1 million for a deck telling them how to do it, and then they did it. Now they're making some money, and they don't know what to do next. So I think it's if you are a customer of these things, you should have a loud voice in telling them to use better technology, to understand the issues of incrementality, and to the extent that you can, pull your budget. I think Kay might have a hunch that this isn't a good use of money, but it's something that could actually be proven through live testing. And something we did with Hershey that's pretty public is we stopped using data like purchasers of candy and just use a lot of geo data to say, hey, if we're trying to sell Target stores, let's surround all the Target stores with ads, and let's make sure the ones with the lowest sell-through rate, right, the most candy on the shelf are getting the most ads automatically all the time. And that's so Target sell-through rate better than Target data. So it's like giving them a proof point is being like, it's not really about your data. Like my job is to support sell-through at your store, but it's not really a data issue, right? It's there's a bunch of other things going on here that you should help me with if you want to be a retail media network. But all I could say to Kay is they're new at this. You've been in advertising a long time. They are at a crossroads where they're either going to abandon these businesses or just let them slide, or they're going to continue to invest and improve them. and you should look for ones that are listening to you and trying to improve, because the other ones are they're gonna wither. It's just too competitive. They've invested too much money, and they're to be undifferentiated and unhelpful to their customers.
Is this logic extensible to Amazon's DSP?
No, because
Why
that's
is Amazon's
or
data
Walmart.
so different than a giant like CPG company who has sales history for their users for 5 different products?
So you say like what? Why? Because the volumes that are moving through Amazon and Walmart are so high that advertising really helps, right? It's like they're your competitors will if you don't. The data volumes are so high that they can really predict things. Like
So their data is just there's a spectrum here where once the purchase data is big enough, it's useful. And it's not showing, ads at the checkout counter.
yeah,
But when it's more narrow, it's
yeah,
showing ads at the checkout
yeah.
counter.
I mean, but even Amazon and Walmart have a delicate balance to pay because it is based on competitor purchase, right? They can't help everyone conquest against each other all the time forever. But that's what it comes down to, right? Is that the data sets are so good because they can identify switchers and potential switchers, people who buy yogurt every week but aren't very loyal to the brands. Like that's who you want to target, right? You don't want to target the one who's buying the same yogurt every week for years, unless you want can get away with non-incrementality, right? But that's the kind of thing that these big data companies can get, like the juicy targets. They're just starting to be a yogurt buyer, right? Like that's the like that it's not so much that the volume of the data, it's that people buy so much from Walmart and Amazon that they could profile them enough to be predictive, right?
Mhm.
That's what it is.
Interesting. Yeah. That Whole Foods integration.
I heard Bezos was like, buy Whole Foods almonds, and Alexa was like, buying Whole Foods. And that's how that happened.
All right, the questions are piling up.
All right, our next question is Michael Bishop. More of a comment, I guess. Open web is still around too. Comment box widget running ads is kind of a less engaging taboola.
Yeah, I am not aware of them as being a performance advertising powerhouse the same way though. I think that they're a programmatic monetizer very effectively, but like I guess maybe they are at Affiliate Summit. I don't know, but I know Taboola's at Affiliate Summit.
There's a company called Open Web.
Yeah. Google this one.
Okay.
They've raised astronomical amounts of money. They're like at their like series like L.
Series, Series L. What happens after Series L? You just ascend.
You send.
You have a Series M.
Well, I think after you get to S, you get to SPAC. When you get SPANC, that's what SPACs are, I think.
All right. What's
Three,
next?
three questions.
This is pretty funny, actually. It looks like the YouTube chat censored this, but our amazing show technology picked it up. It's a comment from Michael Bishop, a quote from a large RMN who shall remain nameless. Our tech is not great.
Wow.
I believe it, you know.
Hmm.
But if there's one thing I've learned after, 15 years in ad tech, it's that that's never let anyone hold them back. Never in ad tech.
All right.
All right, next question. This is from Programmatic 101. What a great name. Programmatic 101 wants to know, would you guys please consider building 10 commandments of programmatic for buyers?
Hmm. I think I did that in my agency work. I'll see if they still have it.
I'll add some sell side commandments.
Yeah, some
It'll be
sales.
like the Talmud.
They're gonna have some overlap with Biggie's 10 crack commandments, like don't get high on your own supply, right?
I
Supply,
I
get
think
it?
a lot of I get it. There's a lot of companies are in violation of that. Yeah, that was a good one, David. That was-
All right.
All right, next comment. This is From Talk to Me. Thank you, Gareth. Can Amazon do it better than non-Amazon for all outlets? Very few companies can survive without multiple outlets winning. It's like non-Amazon DSP media isn't driving Amazon, eh?
I can't follow that. Sorry. It's all right. It's afternoon. It's okay to be drunk. What? Following,
I'm processing it. I'm
especially if
working on
you're
it.
in the UK.
Should I read it slower?
Are there UK spellings in here? This person's probably drunk. At the end, they're like,
No, no, they're
I.
not. Very few companies without multiple outlets winning.
I feel like that last EH is a hint to their location. Who translates
Canada.
that?
Yeah,
Is that
Canada.
Canada? This is
Eh?
Canadian. This is a Canadian.
No wonder they're drunk at 1 p.m. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit on that one for a bit.
No more Talk to Me's cut off.
No, they're not.
Sorry.
Yeah, serious private equity. Yeah, this
All
this is
right.
true.
Is that
This
the
is
end of the
true.
queue?
I think we got one. Oh, we did it. We chewed through it.
All right. Gareth, you're raising money. I want to ask you about it since you just told me before the show and I don't know anything except that you're
Yeah.
trying to raise $2 million for Gamera.
Yeah, so we haven't officially opened it yet, but we're about to. And I'm doing something you never do, which is say I'm about to raise money, but it's a thing. Um, basically, you all get a nice little pitch here. Um, the epiphany that I've had is that inventory remains poorly described on the internet. And this is a big problem for programmatic. And Adam, this is a problem that you encountered like a year ago. You pinged me a list and you were like, what are these IDs? Like, what is this? And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, those are placement IDs. And basically every publisher gets to, or doesn't get to, has to define them. They don't get a choice. And they're built in the image of Google Ad Manager, which is what GPIDs are. They're just Google placement IDs. And we have to break free of Google. So what we are doing is we are undertaking a project to reclassify all of the inventory on the internet. That's what we're doing.
All right.
And we're biting it off. We're on thousands of websites already. And, there are 1.2 million publishers on AdX's ads.txt. And so I'm working on getting Gamera on 1.2 million publishers. And that's why we're raising
Is
money.
I have to ask you some VC questions, but first, just one from me, your friend Adam.
Yeah.
Is this info going to be conveyed in an OpenRTB bid request?
So there's no value in that because no DSPs can listen to it.
Yeah.
Where it will be transferred to people and where we'll have all kinds of goodies. I'm being very vague on purpose right now, but there's a lot of detail that goes into doing this properly. Where it will be conveyed initially is at the curation layer because that's where I can send it. I can't even do it with all the curation platforms, by the way. But like I'm a big fan of Index, right? I can send flags in Index, and Index tells me they're working on products for me to transfer this. So this is data that I will be sharing in the curation layer because that's the right place to put it right now.
God bless Index Exchange. Our
I mean, it's
sponsor
amazing. Yeah, they're
someday.
they seem to be the one that cares,
Yeah.
Like there are not a lot of other SSPs. The CARE is not a word that I would ascribe to the vast majority of SSPs.
Yeah. With
the-
all the heroic and gigantic founders of ad tech battling out again in Game of Thrones style, maybe Casale ends up with the crown.
He might sneak in. He's quietly been running Casale Media for
Yeah.
decades at this
He was
point.
in high school. He was in high school?
Seriously?
Yeah. Founded it in high school.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's been around forever, and it was a network. I'm pretty sure it was a Right Media network at some point. It was on Vox platform, and yeah, it's just they're in a good spot. They've taken a few principal positions. They ignored some easy money, and that is one thing that I've noticed that most SSPs don't do. Most SSPs do not say no to easy money. They just don't.
Yeah.
And that's part of what's gotten us in the pickle that we're in. Is the SSPs don't say no to easy money.
They also run on their own hardware.
Yeah, we'll reserve that one for next week. I
Okay.
really got into it on LinkedIn with Joe Zappa about this because okay,
Appa, the PR guy?
the PR guy.
What does
Uh,
what does he know about us?
Somebody was talking about on-prem, and I had to just chime in, and we'll talk about it. This is worth. I have strong opinions on this one. We got two questions.
Okay.
All right. From Paul. Paul, thank you for being here. Gareth, what will the placement data include?
Ping me on LinkedIn.
Okay, we should just have your whole investor pitch here. Let me ask you some investor
Maybe I'll do one. What a wild idea. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll do a
feedback.
public investor pitch.
What's
'Cause
something you believe that nobody else believes?
I love that. This is a great idea. I'm gonna do this.
That's it. You're not going to answer that question? That's the Peter Thiel question.
He's got a. Oh, what do you believe that no one else believes?
Yeah.
I actually have a good answer for this.
What?
I believe that open web advertising can claw market share away from Google and Facebook. I believe that it can claw a lot away. And I
No,
and
I
I
don't know if no one else believes that.
I have one company who does, but I have no one past that.
All right. Mine was that White Light, White Heat is the best Velvet Underground album.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't believe that. No one believes that. Just kidding. All right, but I pitched over 100 VCs, angels, and funders to very little success. It's a horrible experience. We'll talk about it another week. Um, but you do learn a lot doing
Yeah.
investor pitches. But
I
I have one lesson. I have one takeaway. They're just bankers. They are not business visionaries. They are bankers. Even the ones who have some business vision, who have past vision, the role is to be a banker, and they have the conservatism of bankers. They are not, the job is not to take risks on companies that may or may not have something.
Yeah. I have a list of 60 people that will be getting emailed over the next, 2 weeks. And I very concertedly am generally not talking to people who aren't friends or wouldn't be strategic.
Yeah, it might be hard to get to 2 million because those people don't give a lot of money, but the ad tech, the ad tech founders who have exited and are now and now angels and funders are a great source. They've launched many companies, including Chalice. I'm talking about Jonah and Brian, who we mentioned, and Imperium Ventures, Joe Zawatsky and Eric and Corey, and TD7 Ventures, Trade Desk, and yeah, there's
And all the publishers have VC arms.
publishers have them too. Publishers have more serious ones who might write bigger checks. So
It's very interesting. It's gonna
yeah,
be
we
fun.
did a dance with Hearst Ventures, which is I think one of an important revenue source for the old company Hearst.
Oh, really? That's so interesting.
Yeah, they've made
Makes
some
sense.
good investments. Yep,
Questions in the queue. What do we got?
that's all Bishop again.
I love Bishop.
This is a
Keep going, buddy.
two-parter. Um, and thank you, Michael, by the way, for doing the 1-2 thing. That actually helped me out. That was very cool. Regarding Gareth and GPID placement quality classifications, and this is related to supply side decisioning curation. Something that legacy measurement has definitely failed at is proper cardinality. Data less granular than URL plus GPID placement or better, plus device type, desktop, mobile app, is somewhere between skewed and worthless.
I have mind-blowing IP for this. Just saying.
Can you summarize the question for us? What does he mean, less Glenn?
Yeah, so he's basically saying that the combination of GPID with page and device, right, to get actually actionable data, is the cardinality's through the roof. Because if you take the overlapping Venn diagrams of those three things on a single website, it could be a million different rows.
Billions, yeah.
Yeah, we figured it out.
What do you mean? Like the LLMs are the solution to cardinality.
That's only if you just care about page. it gets more sophisticated than that. We have the coolest, most elegant solution for this that I can't blast out right now, but we have a solution for this and it's awesome.
All right. For people new to this, cardinality means there's too many values for a machine learning algorithm to work, right? They work in orders of numbers. So something like the topic of a web page had to be aggregated into categories and used in machine learning, which is really weak. It's like, it's an entertainment page, it's a sports page, much weaker than all the differences within sports. It's a hockey page, a soccer page, right? Cardinality gets too high when you start throwing in all these words that have nothing to do with each other. And the reason I said large language models are the solution for this is because large language models do solve this particular problem. It's a model of the language that captures the distance between hockey and soccer and football so that all these values can be ordinal values used by machine learning to make predictions, right? And lookalike modeling and all that. So at Chalice, we have solved many cardinality problems, such as website URLs using large language models. And you can think of it as wringing more predictive power out of the same data sets that have always existed. So, there's a lot of companies that talk about AI, and one of the real differences when you are talking to Chalice or someone else is using AI is they will be able to show you how much better predictions get when the very cardinal data like language gets harvested and utilized. It's a big project to run these things through large language models and train them on neural net algorithms and get the predictive power out. But the proof is in the pudding. That it performs better. Someone asked me the other day. Someone asked me at Cannes, like, do you think WPP has a foundational model, right? Like a really advanced kind of large language model. A foundational model. Do they have a foundation model? And I said, the way to tell if someone has a foundation model is with the effects of that foundation model. The reason Amazon has a good foundation model is that every time you try to buy something on Amazon, the ship time is really low because Amazon's model is so good. They predict what you're likely to buy and store it near your house. That's insanely good, right? Predictive analytics, right? So it's when someone is saying their modeling is better, it shouldn't be like a matter of explaining it over and over and teaching and looking under the hood. Like the effect should be very clear when you actually start using the thing. And that's a challenge Chalice has, is that people want us to talk and prove, when the fact is everyone who spent at least $100,000 on media through Chalice is still a Chalice customer.
But I'll give you a hint on our solution, so I don't want you to leave you hanging too much, Michael.
Okay.
The composition of the cardinality is the limiter here. So basically, the high cardinality comes from the confluence of 3 discrete signals. The answer is not necessarily how do I properly process this quantity. The answer is actually in the construction of the signals. So basically, the way we think about things, right, is we think about things as components of bid requests as they come in today. You have a GPID, you have a page, and you have a device, and you have a bunch of other stuff too. The issue is actually in the construction of the GPID. So if you can fix the GPID signal, you no longer need to create the same number of rows, because the GPID signal can be improved such that it has predictive value unto itself. I think that's the key.
The GPID, it conveys the device and the other thing.
You're getting there.
Okay. All right, we got to cut it off. Actually, I have a 1 o'clock.
Oh, all right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for all the questions. We have 1 question remaining in the queue. We can pick it up next week.
Next week. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I love Bishop.
Take us out, Maldo.
Thanks, buddy.
Yo, the crowd is back, the lights are dim, front rows buzzing, it's about to begin. Ad tech